Alright, so today we are going to be going over synthetic division. Now, synthetic division is a much quicker alternative to long division. And so what we're going to be doing in this video is we're going to be taking the examples from the long division video, and we're going to be using synthetic division instead to solve them. And it'll show you how much easier it is to do than long division. But the thing is you have to remember that synthetic division is only applicable if you have a linear factor. Alright, so a linear factor is defined as ax plus b. Alright, you cannot have like an x squared as a factor that you're dividing everything by. Alright, so like if you're dividing this massive polynomial up here, like x cubed plus that, x squared plus x plus 3, you can only use synthetic division if you're dividing by some sort of linear factor. As soon as you have an x squared down here, this whole thing goes void. Alright, so just keep that in mind with synthetic division, and let's get started and show you how much quicker synthetic division is than long division. Alright, so for my long division video, the first problem was this problem right here. The problem was divide x cubed plus 12x squared plus 44x plus 48 by x plus 6. Now, the first thing you do when you do synthetic division is first you have this little corner box here, and then you draw a line like that to set up the problem. Now, you put a value in this corner box, and to get that value, what you do is you take the whole linear factor that you're dividing by, and you set it equal to 0. So x plus 6 equals to 0. So now you subtract 6 from both sides, and whatever x equals, you put in there as the number inside the half box. Now, what you want to do is you want to write all the coefficients of these values across the top. So you have 1, 12, 44, and 48. So now what you want to do is you want to bring your first coefficient that you wrote down here, and then when you multiply up, you want to multiply up by a factor of -6. So you get -6 here. Now what you do is you add these two numbers together. So 12 minus 6 equals 6, or 12 plus -6 equals 6. Then what you want to do is you take 6, you multiply it by a factor, -6, so then you get -36. And so now 34 plus -36 is 8. And then what you do is you multiply 8 by a factor of -6. And so then you get -48. And then so 48 plus -48, well, that's 0. And so now these values that you have down here are the values, are the coefficients for your solution. So pretty much this one is represents x squared plus 6x plus 8. So all of these, so the degree behind it is 1 less than the degree you started with. So 1x squared plus 6x plus 8. And that's all, and that's a solution to this. That's all there is to it, folks. Alright, let's do another example. Alright, so the next problem I have here is divide x cubed plus 13x squared plus 50x plus 56 by x plus 8. And this is the exact same problem that I did for my second example as in the long division video. So if you want, you can contrast it with that. So let's set up the synthetic division problem. Alright, so x plus 8 equals 0. And then we need to find what x equals. We know x equals -8. So we put -8 inside this box. And now we put all the coefficients of the number on top. So we have 1, 13, 50, and 56. You bring down the first coefficient. You multiply this by a factor of -8, so you get -8 right here. You add these numbers together. 13 plus -8 is 5. Then you do it again. So 5 times -8 is 40. Well, -40, I'm sorry. And then you add these two numbers together. So 50 plus -40 is 10. And then you do it one more time. And so you get 10 times -8 is -80. And so now you get 56 plus -80 is -24. And so now you have each of the coefficients of a number of your numbers of your solution, and it's 1 degree less than the numbers than the leading coefficient on top. So you have 1x squared plus 5x plus 10, and so there you go. So x squared plus 5x plus 10, and now this -24 is your remainder. All right, and so with your remainder, what you do is you just leave it as 24 over x plus 8, because this is the part that wasn't able to get completely divided. So you express it like that. So here's your solution to your synthetic division problem. So last but not least, we have our final problem from the long division video. X cubed plus 4x squared plus 6x plus 3 divided by x plus 1. So to set the problem, we just do your standard setup here. And we write the coefficients across here. Do 4, 6, 3. To get the number inside the box, we set x plus 1, this linear factor, equal to 0. We find what x equals. In this case, x equals -1. So put -1 here. We drop down the first coefficient here, -1, and then multiply it by the number in this box. So we have -1 right here. We add these numbers together, so 4 plus -1 is 3. And we keep going. So 3 times -1 is -3. And then so we just add these two numbers together. So 6 plus -3 is 3. And then we just keep on going. So 3 times -1 is -3. And so 3 plus -3 equals 0. So now the leading coefficient is 1 degree less than the coefficient of the thing you divided. So we have, for our solution, x squared plus 3x plus 3. And since this value right here is 0, there's no remainder. So, remainder. So, yay. Alright, so hopefully that helps with you learning synthetic division. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below and I'll try to answer it. So, yeah. Thank you for watching this video.